Public Utilities for the City of Santa Rosa to order. If we may have a roll call, please.
Chairman Galvin.
Here.
Vice Chair Pound. Board Member Arnone.
Here.
Board Member Badenford.
Here.
Board Member Dowd.
Here.
Board Member Grable. Board Member Watts.
Here.
Any statements of abstention by board members? Hearing none. We have no minutes this week, so we'll move straight to our staff briefing on the drinking water quality report. Deputy Director.
Thank you, Chairman Galvin. And we have a staff briefing on the drinking water quality report for 2016. And I'd just like to take a minute because the presenter you have in front of you will be retiring very soon. And so I just wanted to take a little minute to acknowledge that Peter has been with the department for 30 years, and he's been the water quality supervisor for 14 years. And we are just so appreciative of the work he's done for the department. He has had a great reputation, collaboration with Division of Drinking Water, who's our regulator, and really made sure that our customers are well taken care of, that we have a great water system in terms of water quality, and really just making sure that our water is safe, reliable for our citizens. So really appreciate all the work he's done, and he will be severely missed by the department. So with that, Peter.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. You know, I've had the opportunity to work for Jennifer, and she is a really excellent manager, along with Rita Miller and several others. And my time with the city has been just the greatest opportunity. And some of my coworkers up there, they also enjoy working for the city. So, you know, you guys have done a great job to maintain the water utility, and I really appreciate it. I think Mr. Dowd has been on the board for as long as I've been here, and he's always been quite a pillar from my perspective. So I guess I'll get right into the staff briefing. I just wanted to, thank Chairman Galvin and members of the board. This is a staff briefing on the annual water quality report. We're required by previously the state of California in 1990 and then on to the Safe Drinking Water Act in 1996 to produce an annual report on the drinking water for customers to know what's in their water. It provides information on the source water, on detected contaminants, compliance with drinking water regulation, whether we've had violations, and educational information. So the water supply portfolio that we have is 95% from the water agency, 5% from our local groundwater wells. The water agency is not required to put out an annual water quality report to customers since they don't have any except the contractors. So it's each contractor, every community water system must come up with an annual water quality report. And we use the data that the water agency gives us to produce the report. We also use our own data from the Laguna Lab for our local groundwater data. So the Safe Drinking Water Act requires distributors to do monitoring of the distribution system, and some of the things that fall into that monitoring is the total coliform rule, to just make sure we have chlorine residual and that we don't have any total coliforms. Disinfectants and disinfection byproducts, which are the reaction between chlorine and organics in the water to make sure that they won't cause any problems. The lead and copper rule, which I'm sure you've heard a lot about lately. We perform that in the distribution system. And the groundwater rule, which since we have our own source groundwater wells, we have to comply with that. And then some of the state regulations are cross-connection control, which is our regularly called our backflow program. So those are the programs that we meet with this report. So Santa Rosa is a large, complex water system. We have 31 pressure zones. Most of the lower areas of Santa Rosa is pressurized by the county, which is called an aqueduct zone. The pumped areas, each of those pressure zones needs at least one sample station, so we know what the water quality is in every zone, in case we have any problems. So we have 144 water sample stations in the city, and we monitor them, most of them, every month. So we have a person going around taking samples at those sites. The water agency has a very big system too. We get 99.82% of our water from the caissons that are at the river. We get 0.02% of our water from 3 temporary wells, standby wells, and production seasonally along the Katati Intertie. And the little arrow shows that Todd Well, which is off of Todd Road, is one of those seasonal wells. So this is just some of the sample stations that we have. You might have seen these little green boxes and thought they were a cable box or something, but there's 144 around town. They're all numbered from 0 to 144. And then the photo on the right is the entry point sample station for Santa Rosa. We buy 95% of our water from the water agency, and we have 35 turnouts that distribute water to our customers from the water agency to us, and then we meter beyond that. But the state wants one site where we take all of our compliance sampling from the water agency, and the picture on the right is that single sample site, which is at 9th and Wilson. It's a little triangle island, so you might have noticed that. Farmers Lane, our production wells along Farmers Lane, has a treatment facility at the corner of Sonoma and Farmers, and it treats our groundwater wells mostly for manganese to bring that down below the secondary contaminant level, and we take samples at that site too. So getting down to the actual production of the water quality report, since most of our water comes from the water agency, it's considered surface water, although it has a little bit lesser requirements because it comes from groundwater type wells. So the water agency samples for 110 sample constituents, and they send me a report, usually about 5 pages. One report is on the caissons, the other report is on the groundwater wells. So I go through the report, and my requirement is to find detections of something above a detection limit for reporting. So I go through the report and look for any anomalies that is something that I need to report on our annual report to the customer. So this report in front of you is caissons, it's the inorganic chemicals, the metals, and so I go down and I look for the detection limit for reporting in the second column over, and I go through each of the lines and look for anything that shoots up above the detection limit for reporting, which means I need to report it. So that's the line I look at, and then I go through it, and on this particular sheet, fluoride is the only constituent that is above that. So fluoride is one that we find in the groundwater wells and the water agency finds there. So that's great. It's not enough to provide a dental help for customers. It's too low. 0.7 is what the customers need. 0.2 is all that's in the groundwater. So that's not a big deal. The second one is the report we get from the groundwater wells along the Katati Intertie. So there's actually 7 wells, 4 of them are at the caisson site, but they don't the water agency doesn't use those. They use the 3. They still sample for them. So, but I still need to go through and find out the detections on there. So the only one from the 3 standby wells along Katati Intertie that we found above the detection limit for reporting was arsenic. Not something we like to find, but since it's only 0.02% of the water produced, and the water that gets pumped into the aqueduct is actually blended with the existing water that's shooting along the aqueduct, it gets blended and becomes well below the any hazard. So it gets reported in our consumer confidence report as a non-detect. So it has a range, and the range is non-detect to 2.2, and then the reporting value is non-detect. So the other constituents on there are just things that we would find interesting to customers. A lot of customers like water softeners, or they want to know the hardness, and those are all listed on this report also. And we divide the table into the sampling for the water agency, and then the sampling that we do in Santa Rosa. So the water agency's report is generally just the raw water that they are delivering. The Santa Rosa includes our raw water along with the distribution system sampling. So the disinfection byproducts, the lead and copper rule, and those types of things are listed there. So the annual water quality report provides water system info, source water definitions, how to read the report, water quality results, and any exceedances of the detection limit for reporting. It would also list any violations if we happen to have any, which fortunately we didn't. So this is one of our newer style sample stations, which is elevated. We found that the lower ones were a little bit too susceptible for contamination, so we decided to raise them up a little bit. So that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fulkerson. Board member questions or comments? I have a question for you. I had recently had some friends tell me that they occasionally observe some smell and the odor in their water. Is there a way that they can provide samples and have them tested?
Yes, I mean, what we usually do with people who complain about the odor is we explain that there is an odor to the water. I mean, we add chlorine. We add chlorine at our well site during the summer, and the water agency adds chlorine too. That's usually the chemical smell that they have, and we explain that to them, and we tell them how to bring down the fragrance. But it's a requirement to have chlorine in the water, so there's not much that the county or the city can do about that. But yes, we can have that tested. We have staff that goes out and lets them know what their chlorine levels are.
So they just need to contact somebody at the water agency and then have the water department have them come out and they'll take the sample for them?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for your report. Board Member Dowd?
It's not a question, but it's certainly an important comment. I'm quite certain that no one on the city council or this board or on staff ever wants to experience something like Flint, Michigan, and I deeply appreciate all the work that goes into providing our customers with a safe and water supply.
I would echo those comments, and I wish you much good luck in your retirement. Thanks for all your work for the city.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item 5.1 is our consent item regarding the meter upgrade project.
I'll move the consent item.
I will second.
Motion by Board Member Arnone, seconded by Board Member Watts to approve the consent calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. We have one report item, which is on the meter upgrade project.
Yes, so item 6.1 will be presented by Kimberly Zanino, the revenue manager, and it's related to the AMA project and the North Harris contracts.
I don't know where mine is.
Sorry.
Thank you.
loud talker, so I'll move this a little bit away from me. So, good afternoon, Chairman Galvin and members of the board. As Jennifer said, I am Kimberly Zanino, and I am the revenue manager for the city of Santa Rosa. I worked in water for many years, and that was where I got started with this AMI project, and moved to finance and actually brought the project over there with me. So I continue to work on it and will for many more years. So let me get this. Where's the little, oh, here it is. Never mind. I found it. I don't have my reading glasses on, sorry. It's not showing me that. You know what? I bet I have to do this. Just real quick. Sorry, technical difficulties. That always seems to happen.
On yours,
With this
every time.
project. But we have no technical difficulties on the project, so that's the good side, right? It's only the presentations that seem to. Maybe close it and open it. It won't let us get to that. Maybe enable content before you do that. Okay. Yes. Yay. All right, so today I am here to bring you a couple of amendments, but it was requested of me that I do an update of the actual entire project, especially for the new board members. So I'll be speaking a lot to you today, since Chris is not here. But I'm going to go through a lot of information about the project itself, and then I will get to the portion where we're going to talk about the amendments that I'm bringing forward. So this is the agenda of what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about what AMI is, why we are upgrading our meters, the benefits of the system that we have chosen, the solution providers, a project timeline, and the communications that we have planned for the project. But before I get started, I just want to remind you of what our meters, how many meters we have in our system. And so we have 53,000 meters approximately in total. 35,000 meters currently are manually read, and 18,000 of those meters are read by what we call a drive-by solution. So what is the meter upgrade project? The meter upgrade project is a system called Advanced Metering Infrastructure. And from now on through the presentation, I will just call it AMI, if that's okay with you. Make it a little quicker. This is an integrated communication network with our water meters. And it transfers data between our water meters and several city systems. It provides us hourly usage data, and this data will be used for many different things in the future, one of which is what I'm coming here to talk to you about today. There is also the ability to receive alerts and messages from our meters, and to send messages and to use different messages out to our meters to require them to perform different kinds of functionality. Oh, I do want to say that we also, for this project, that we have involved staff members from every division of the water department and other departments as well. So we've been planning from the very beginning to figure out how we can use this data and what other departments, as well as other divisions in the water department, can use the data. So we've looked for many opportunities, and we will continue to do that. So why did we decide to upgrade our meters? Just to give you an idea, we were upgrading our meters, or we had decided at one point that our meters were really starting to age. And as an example, I have just prepared the first list of 10,000 meters that we will either be retrofitting or replacing, and 3/4 of those are ready for an age replacement. So our meters really were starting to get a lot older. We were also installing the drive-by system, which is on those 18,000 meters that we had. We've been doing this for about 17 years now, so some of those devices were starting to fail that we had originally installed. We were also, obviously, after 17 years not having done more than, or even half of the system, we were moving very slowly at that. So we decided at that time that it was time for us to look at our system, to take a look at how we were reading meters, and to maybe take a full system approach to actual reading the meters. When we did that look, we brought in a consultant at the time, and we did an entire study on it. We looked at how many times our trucks roll to go out in the field and look at our meters. We looked at reading meters. We looked at work orders for meters. We looked at the service orders that came from the billing side. We looked at just loads and loads of data so that we could come up with a really good understanding of what we were doing now and what the best solution was for us in the future. And at the time, we decided that there were three options for us. We either stayed at status quo, which meant that we left the drive-bys that were in place and just replaced them as they were failing, and read the rest of the meters manually. We could continue to install the drive-by solution, which was taking us a very long time to do, or we could look at an entire system approach. And what we determined was that the benefits for this entire system approach with advanced metering infrastructure way outweighed the other options that we had available to us. This slide gives you just a kind of brief look at what the actual technology is for the AMI system. This is the meters that we currently even use, are these brass meters, and then that is the radio device that will actually read the meter and send messages and receive messages from us. That's called a FlexNet unit. That device there, the radio, it's called on this slide, just plugs right into the register. Then there is a data collector, or a base station. So we will have 4 of these located around the city, and these are the devices that actually transfer the meter information to the meter, from the meter to the city systems, and then back to the meters. We did choose, when we were going through this, to use cloud-based products. We did have the option to have in-house servers for these, but that's a lot of strain on our IT staff. And so we decided to go with cloud-based servers, which means not only do our IT staff not have to keep the servers in good shape, but also the companies that are really the system experts, both the equipment company and the meter data management company, they will also be assisting us in making sure that the system is healthy and watching the system for us as well. And then we have the transfer to the billing solution. So we take all of that data that is in that cloud solution, especially what I call the meter data management solution, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation also. That information is validated in that system, and then that information is transferred to the billing software so that we can bill customers. And then we're also looking at all the ways that we can integrate that data. What are the other systems that we should be integrating this data with? And then I don't have a circle around it, but in the top right-hand corner, that's a couple customers looking at a customer portal. So in the future, we'll actually have a portal where customers will be able to log in and see their own information about their own account and their own water use. So project benefits. The main benefit that we originally looked at was customer service, really. Santa Rosa Water has always held excellent customer service as a top priority, and providing more customer service and more tools for our customers was very important to us. So this system provides us the ability to do things such as high use notifications, which will decrease high bills for our customers. So instead of having to wait until an entire billing cycle is done, because your meter's only read every 28 to 35 days, customers will know in a very short period of time if they have things like pipe breaks or leaks on their side of the system. It also gives us the ability to have consistency during our sewer cap setting. So I think those of you that have been on the board for a long time know that this is a great frustration for our customers. I'll explain a little bit about how the sewer cap is set in case you don't understand that, but we set a cap for all of our customers that allows us not to charge them for sewer on the water that they're using to irrigate their yards. So the way that we do this is we take an average of their winter water use, we set that up on their account, and then when they start to irrigate, they only pay up to the amount that was that average during the winter, because that winter water use should be going down the sewer and is not being applied to the yard. So the issue that we have with it is because we manually read so many meters, we have a very complex reading schedule. We have to read every meter 12 times a year, and we have to be able to bill them within a 28 and 35-day period. And so because of that, and because there are 8 different cycles, nobody except for the people in one cycle are actually read on the same day, and they aren't billed at the same time. And so nobody throughout the system, or nobody in each cycle, has a consistent period. So everybody's not looking at the same winter usage time. They're not consistent days. Some people might have a 32-day period in there. Some people might have a 28-day period. And so they become very frustrated that it's not consistent for all customers. This system will actually allow us to pick the specific period that we want and make sure that all of those days in that period are consistent for every single customer. I also mentioned that we'll have a customer portal available for our customers in the future, so they'll be able to actually go and see their hourly usage. The other thing that they will be able to do is they'll be able to set up personalized notifications for themselves. So if a customer wants to know in a billing period when their water use has reached 10,000 gallons, they can simply set that up by clicking a couple buttons, and then they can get an email or a text message or something letting them know that they've reached that 10,000 gallons that they wanted to be notified about. I think one of the things that we have found as we have started the integration of all of our software systems is that one of the biggest advantages with this AMI data is the ability to integrate with all of our other systems. So we are in the process and very close to having it completed as we move to full deployment of actually integrating all of the billing information and the billing software with the AMI software. So those two systems are completely and fully integrated, and you'll see a little bit more of that later on in this presentation. But it even goes beyond that now, because we are in the process of also implementing a new online billing system. So with all these tools and integrating all these tools, if a customer goes in to pay their bill from that same site, they will also be able to go in and go to their customer portal and look at their usage. They'll be able to click on links for other city departments if they'd like to, all from the same spot. We are investigating the possibility of them scheduling audits for the water use efficiency program straight through that same site as well. And in addition, receiving a scorecard from the city of Santa Rosa if they choose to, that gives them an update on what their water usage is and how they're doing. So the ability for our customers just to be able to go in there and then be able to go in and see all these different things is, we're finding, a huge advantage for us. And then the last one on here is greenhouse gas reductions. So less truck rolls. We have less service orders going out. We have less work orders going out. We have less people going out to read meters. So the less trucks we have on the road, the more greenhouse gas emissions we're reducing. Also, we will use this data to help us plan water use more efficiently in our system as a whole. It takes a lot of power to move water around, and so the more efficiently you do it, the less power you use, which is also a savings with greenhouse gases. So I want to talk a little bit about who are the vendors. Many times when I've been here, we've just talked about what we were going to select, and you haven't gotten a ton of information about the people who will be helping us with this project, or the people we've hired for this project. And so I want to talk about all the different solution providers. First is the actual equipment itself, so those meters, those endpoints, the base stations. That is through a company called Census. And then we have the meter data management solution, which I talked about, or system. You'll hear it both ways. That is a company called SmartWorks, or MeterSense is the actual product. And that is a North Harris Corporation company. That is the one we are here today to amend some of the contracts for. The equipment installer is Utility Partners of America, and then we have a consultant manager, project manager, that's helping us through the project as well, and their company is called UtiliWorks Consulting. So first we'll talk a little bit about Census. I really just want you to get a picture of the breadth of experience that is coming along with this project and the vendors that were selected. We have an over 20-year relationship with Census. Most of the meters that we have in the ground right now are Census meters. They provide, they're involved right now and have installed 500 AMI projects. So I think it's important to know that not just meters, they have been working in these systems for many, many years. They're also, one of the things that we found about them that we liked was that they're developing new technology that goes with the AMI product. It's not new technology to try to move on to something else, but better technology inside of the AMI systems. And so, as an example, they are working on water meters that can determine water pressure, they determine water temperature, and then they also have automatic shutoff capabilities. So as we move forward and as they develop those and those types of equipment become tried and true and tested, then we'll consider putting some of those into our system as well. UPA, which is Utility Partners of America, they are the installers that we have hired. I think it's pretty impressive. They've done 15 million work orders, so that means on AMI projects alone, they either have replaced or retrofitted 15 million meters. So they're extremely experienced. They've worked on 175 large utility projects. And I want to talk a little bit more about them because these will be the people in the field. So if calls come into the city, to the police department, or anybody else about people who are out and about, at their properties and their concerns, we want to make sure that they are clearly identified as working with the city. So you can see that this is how they will be. This will be their basic uniform that they will be wearing. They will all have badges that identify them as a UPA employee and associated with the city of Santa Rosa, and their trucks will also be clearly identified as well. I also want to talk a little bit about the kind of work that they do. So they will contact customers when they get to a property before they are to retrofit or replace a meter. They'll knock on the door, see if the customer is there, let them know they're there and what they're doing. Their company has a very high customer service standard like the city of Santa Rosa, which is one of the reasons why we chose them. They take a picture before and after every retrofit or replacement. So we have actual pictures of what the meter was when it was removed and what it looked like when it was installed. And then they take that back and they actually have a 24-hour operation that reviews those pictures and compares them to the work orders to make sure that the data we're getting is valid, that they got the right remove read, they got the right set read, that all of the information that we're getting, so our systems have correct data in them, and so our customers are being billed properly from that meter change is all correct and accurate. They also have a 24-hour customer service line. So North Harris, you hear a lot of names for them. North Harris is the company, the parent company. MeterSense is the product, and the company inside of North Harris that has the SmartWorks product, or the MeterSense product, is called SmartWorks. So there's lots of names for it, but these are the companies, or the company that is in charge of the meter data management system that we chose. The company North Harris has been in the utility business for municipalities for over 35 years, so a lot of experience comes along with that. This will also be the platform where the Water Conservation Manager is housed, so this is the piece we're here to talk about today. And North Harris is also the parent company of our billing system, which has become a very big advantage for the city, and we'll talk about all of those integrations and the opportunities we've had because they are under the same parent company. This is just a picture for you of a piece of the meter data management system. And the reason why I'm showing you this piece is because those two companies are under the same parent company. We have had the opportunity to actually embed the meter data management system inside of the CIS system. So there's just a tab on the CIS system that customer service representatives will go to. It's called the MDM tab. As soon as they bring it up, this is actually a live picture inside of the meter data management solution. And the advantage to this is that customer service reps are working inside of that billing system every day. That's the system they use when customers call. So they won't have to open a different system or go to a different place. All of this information is going to be available to them right from the system that they're working in every day. They will also be able to look at any reads that have been on that meter from this section, from this tab right here. They will be able to look at the last read that was taken on the meter, and they'll also be able to perform an on-demand read, which is basically the reading that is on the glass. So if they have a customer on the phone, they can literally say, let's go outside, talk them through how to read a meter. They can push a button, they get back the same read that the customer is looking at, and they can explain to the customer actually how to read their meter right from the office. So we think that having this inside of the billing system is a huge advantage for our customer service reps, and it means that data is really going to get used. It's going to get used for our customers and to make their lives easier and to be more efficient. The MDM is also the place that we will be pulling, basically I call it working reports. So all of the reports that tell us about the meter reads, the water usage that's going on, alerts that are happening, the health of the meter, the health of the device that's reading the meter, the health of the system. This is where all of that data comes in. So that data comes in here, it gets analyzed, it gets sent to us, it goes through a lot of validation parameters, and then those validation parameters send us reports that say, hey, you need to look at this. There's continuous usage on this meter, or there's no usage on this meter, or there's a huge spike of usage on this meter. And so it gives us that chance to really go through all of that data to get that information out to the customers if we need to, also to make sure that we have accurate reads for billing. Oh, right. So I feel like I sound like a broken record all the time. I say this a lot, but nobody should install one of these systems just to read their meter and bill their customers. There is a lot of data that comes along with it. There's a lot of ways to use that data, and it's very important that we take advantage of every opportunity we have to leverage this data. We don't want to just take a read. It's too expensive to take a read and just bill a customer with it. So I've really made the effort to go out and find pieces that we can add, pieces that will actually give us real advantages at the city for using that data, as well as with other departments. So as I discussed earlier, we've been planning from the beginning, how do we use this data even for our other departments? So Parks is a good example. We'll be able to help parks with real detailed water use analysis so that they can actually look at their irrigation systems and look at their parks and see that things are happening efficiently or as they expect. There's median strips in the middle of the road that sprinkler heads get broken off all the time. The only way they know about those is when they get a high bill or if a customer takes a picture and sends it to them. With this system, we're able to actually let them set up their own notifications, just like a customer would be, that tells them, hey, there's an issue out here, and they can get out there and fix things like that. So it's using all this data for internal city uses and external city uses. So one of well, the real reason why we're here today to talk about this amendment is because one of the pieces that we are working on development with. So there are two pieces that get used in cooperation, and I want to talk a little bit about both of them so that you understand the difference between the two of them in case you hear people talking about them or you have questions. But inside of the billing software, just like there was that MDM tab, there will also be a water conservation tab now. And that water conservation tab will actually house the water use efficiency program data for that customer and specifically that site. So if a customer participates in a program, it's recorded there. If they got a rebate for that program or there were incentives given, it's recorded there. And that means it's in the same system that the water use is in. So right now what we do is we just record that data in Hansen, which is our asset management system, which is also in the process of being looked at to basically be replaced. And so at that time we thought, hey, this is a great time to start looking at other solutions for that data, because we'd just pull the data of who participated from the Hansen system, and then we'd have to pull data from the billing system and combine all that data. This way it's all housed in exactly the same spot. Now the Water Conservation Manager, which is the amendment piece that we're talking about today, this is actually a tool that allows us to look at the programs as a whole. So this will let us see whether or not our programs are performing efficiently. It lets us determine how much water we're saving from programs, how much they're costing us, so that we can determine which programs are saving the most water and costing us the least amount of money to run. It gives us the ability to look at data very granularly, so we can look at how those programs are running by different classifications: commercial, residential, multifamily, by meter size. We basically have the ability to look at these programs from any direction that we want to and really determine that what we're doing is the right program to be running for the city. And then we are even going one step beyond this with this water conservation manager, and we are working on bringing in electrical data for our city facilities. So if we bring in electrical data for our city facilities and overlay water uses as well, and we're looking at all of that information for each of our city facilities, we can determine which facilities are running efficiently, if we're running them efficiently, and if we're not, what do we need to do? There's ways to look at those patterns and go, oh, something's going on here. You know, there's things that we should be looking at. It also lets us prioritize work. When we decide how to work on a city facility, we need to know what order we should be working on those in, and this really gives us that information. So some of the things that will also be, other than just looking at our programs as a whole, that will be provided by the water conservation manager, are the ability to do things like, you'll see the map here on the left. That map is actually showing you, we basically just drew a picture around an area of town and then applied the parameters that we wanted. And this is a pretty simple one, but it basically just tells you what the water usage is within a certain range for all the different properties or parcels that are in just this section of the map. So the kinds of things that we can do with this type of information is make it program specific, see what areas of town are participating in specific programs. Or we could take a look at areas where we see very high water usages, and we maybe want to target communication to those areas. Get out there and let our customers know that we have ways to help them reduce water use. So it really is a powerful tool for us to be able to determine the areas of town that we should probably be, it's not meant to be a penalizing tool at all. It's really just for us to get out there and say, hey, we have some programs, we can help you out, we can help you reduce your bill, and really look at those areas that it would be helpful in. On the right-hand side, you're gonna see that's the water use efficiency scorecard. So this basically is the card I was talking about. People will be able to sign up for it. It will be sent to them monthly. PG&E has one of these that people sign up for. And basically it gives you an idea of how you're doing personally on your parcel with your water use. It tells you how you compare to similar accounts. And I want to clarify that when we say similar accounts, what we mean is not in the same neighborhood, because that's not necessarily a similar account. We would be looking at your single family, we would be looking at other places that are single family that have the same number of people who live in the house. So it really is a similar type of use. It's not just, oh, you live in the same neighborhood, so it should be the same. If you have 10 people who live in a house and you have 2 people who live in a house, you're going to have very different water usage there. So it's smart enough to know that there are the accounts that you should be comparing it to are accounts that are similar to your own. It also gives you nice graphs so that you can see what your water usage was like. It gives you previous use for the previous year per month. It gives you the last 12 months, and then it gives you for similar accounts what their last 12 months is as well. And this will be an opt-in, so people will have to actually get a hold of us and let us know that they want to sign up for this. We'll certainly communicate out to our customers that this is available for them, but we won't just send it out to people. We'll only send it out to people who want to get this on a monthly basis. So the proposed contract amendments that I'm bringing you are for the implementation agreement with North Harris and one for the support and maintenance. So the implementation agreement is being amended so that we can add the statement of work for the water conservation manager. It didn't fit with the support and maintenance agreement, so we decided to amend the implementation agreement for that. And we also added a couple of additional trainings that we think will be valuable for city staff to that agreement. And then we are also amending the support and maintenance agreement for the water conservation manager. And I'm gonna, right, dot cam, right? There we go. Since it was not in the presentation, I wanted to make sure that I had a clear listing for you of the cost of both the trainings and the support and maintenance. I wanted to talk a little bit about negotiations that occurred when this product or additional functionality was brought to our attention. I felt it was very important to work with the vendor to secure the best deal for our ratepayers. And so therefore, they have agreed to give us the software at no cost. They are also doing the implementation and the development of the product specifically for us at no cost. And then they have discounted the support and maintenance fees. So the trial period, which is 9 months, was free. For the first full year of support and maintenance, it's at half price, so that's the $26,000, $26,500. And then for each additional year, they have given us a 20% discount or $10,000 less a year. I'm also showing on here the two trainings that we are going to be requesting through the amendments, which are the rules engine training, which really gives us a deep dive on the back end on how to take all of this data. Now that we're using it for so many different things, it gives us the ability to do a lot of things that we would have to call them to help us with. This lets us set up our own rules for what we want the system to do. And then the other training that is requested with this is for a post-live business process training. Having worked on many software products, I know that once you get into the system, even though you've had a full training before you start, until you really start using the data and you really start using the system, it's hard to know all the questions that you need to ask. So we are requesting that they actually come on site. It'll probably be 6 to 8 months after we're fully integrated in the system and using the system on a daily basis, to have them come and look at how we're using the system, to train us on better ways to use it, to find efficiencies for us, and to find things that we might be missing in the system that we just don't know are there because we had a quick review of it in a full training in the beginning. I will say that we got the deal because we agreed to sign the 5-year amendment. However, if we choose at any time to discontinue the functionality of the Water Conservation Manager, we can. If we find that it is not providing value for us, we simply will let them know that we no longer want to use that functionality, and they will turn it off, and then the support and maintenance goes away after that point. If they do turn it off, though, it does not affect the AMI portion of the meter data management solution, though there's no effect to that at all. It would literally just be a switch that they can turn off from the hosted solution, and then we just wouldn't have that available to us anymore. Here's a little timeline of what the project as a whole. So I left out all of the SOW work and the selection process and contract negotiations because this would have been a very long list. But we have done alpha testing, which means we had a very small group of varied meters. We did commercial meters, large meters, small meters, and we took that very small group. That was the group we used to integrate all the software and make sure that the integrations were working properly, to make sure that we were actually getting reads from a meter and that we were able to bill from that. And then we moved into beta testing, which we are in now. Beta testing allows us to do that deep dive, have a larger number of meters so that we're actually receiving those reports and those alerts and making sure that we're handling them properly and that they're coming in properly and that all of those devices are working the right way. And then in the end of August or in September, we don't have an exact date yet, but we will actually move to full deployment, which means that those Utility Partners of America staff will be here, and they will actually be going out in the field and retrofitting and replacing our meters for us. I'll give you a little update on communication. I know this has been very important to make sure that we have tools available for the public to understand what we're doing. You have on your, I thought I brought one up. Maybe I didn't bring one up, but you have one, yes. So we have a little trifold that we've created. The trifold is a synopsis, a simple synopsis of what the water meter upgrade project is. It is in both Spanish and in English for our customers. These will be available in the meter specialist trucks. They'll be available in the ops trucks, and they'll be available by the installers as well, so that if customers actually have questions, we will be able to provide some data right on hand to them, and it gives them all of the information about where they can go to get more information if they'd like to. We have a whole website that is set up for our customers. On that website, they can access FAQs, so we have full FAQs related to both radio frequency and just the project in general. We will be doing postcards. The postcards will be postcards that we will send ahead of time to let customers know that we're coming to their property. And there's a picture of one, but I don't have any printed yet. And then we will do some press releases. We are doing internal communications already, so all of our internal departments know about it. I'm doing presentations at those, at their staff meetings. We're also doing articles in the internal newsletters. We'll do an article in the external newsletter as well. So we're really trying to make sure that not only are our customers aware of what's coming their way, but also so that our city departments are prepared for it too if they get asked questions. As I said earlier, we'll be notifying the police department when UPA is going out to do their work, so that if they get calls from the customers, that their call centers know that, you know, there's people out there, that there's ways to recognize them so that they can make sure that customers are feeling safe and not worried about having people come up to their door or out in their front yard messing around with their water meters. So the recommendation, I love reading this part. It is recommended by the Water Department and the Board of Public Utilities Contract Subcommittee that the Board of Public Utilities, by motion, approve amendments for the support and maintenance and software implementation services agreements with North Harris Computer Corporation and authorize the chair to sign the contracts. And with that, I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Board member questions or comments? Board member Dowd?
First, I want to mention to the board that I was appointed to the AMI selection process at the outset. I'm going to defer to the chair of the board, who's also the chairman of the subcontract review committee, to make his report for that committee, which I also happen to serve on. But I want to compliment highly Ms. Zanino on all the work that she's done. I suspect she knows more about AMIs than she ever wanted to know. But you can see in the depth of her investigations, her negotiation skills, and the other things that she's been able to do to drive a really good bargain for our department and our customers. And so, first of all, compliment you very much for all that hard work. The other thing I wanted to say is that this has been a long, long process, no doubt about it, and we really felt that we wanted to have the whole board go back and look at what has transpired through this process. And I think it's important to see we had the opportunity to just continue doing what we'd always done and still spend a lot of money, or we could upgrade the system, and that's what you're being presented with today, is additional upgrades that can be beneficial to the department and its customers. And as a consequence, the work has been, in my opinion, very valuable, and certainly I'm in favor of what the recommendation is. But with that, I'll defer to others.
Board member Arnone?
Well, I just want to kind of add on a bit. Within a month of being appointed to the BPU by Jake Hours, you sat down with me for about an hour, hour and a half, and went through what seemed like an incredibly daunting project. And that seemed in the distant future somewhere. And it is very satisfying to see that coming to fruition and implementation, and very similar to the way you described it those many years ago. So thank you for the hard work and for the explanation early on. I do have a couple of specific questions. On the efficiency scorecard, you indicated that you were not going to, the efficiency scorecard, we're not going to send them out on a regular basis to everybody. It seems like that's the kind of information we would want everybody to have regularly. So why is it an opt-in instead of an opt-out?
Am I on? Yes. We've found that customers, they find things like that to be spam. And they aren't really happy about getting full-out blasts from us, especially if it's going to come on a regular basis. The other side of it is that we want to communicate out for them to actually request that they have this available to them. We also do not have email addresses for every one of our customers. It's something we may start collecting in the future, but it's not something that we have currently. So then it would end up only being going out to the customers who we actually have an email address for, and not all of the customers. So as we get further in and we find how people like it and we see if it's doing really well and more people want to see it, we may start collecting those email addresses with every start, which we don't require now, but we could start asking them for email addresses. And then be able to do a bigger blast for it. But I think what we'll do instead is we will send out an insert inside their bill that explains to them what is now available to them. So we'll make sure that they know this is here for you. If you want to take a look at it, please let us know and we'll sign you up, and it'll just start automatically coming electronically.
Well, that's what I like maybe the most about this whole thing, is it creates this interactive dialogue between the city and the customers, a two-way communication instead of a one-way. And so I just applaud the efforts, and I think it's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board Member Watts?
I just had a quick question about the Water Conservation Manager module. I think it's going to be a great aggregate tool to look at the impact of the programs at the community level, not just the impact of the individual customer. I'm just curious, is this going to be kind of housed in the water use efficiency department only, or is it going to be utilized across other departments?
So it'll be used mostly by the water use efficiency group, because they'll be the ones who will be handling the reports and running the data and doing all of the checking. However, because it's part of the meter data management solution, it's available for other people. To anybody who has access to the meter data management solution will be able to access that piece also. So they'll be able to, with permissions, yeah, there'll be very tight permissions put on things. You know, a lot of stuff will probably just be read-only for other people. But we'll definitely have that available for other people to see. The main AMI work, or the meter data management work, happens in the utility billing side, or the water billing side. And so that it'll also be that group who's looking at it as well and making sure, you know, that they're checking things from that system also, because it's part of the whole system health of AMI.
It just seems that you might get some data that might be relevant to strategic planning at a higher level than just one department. So I think that's going to be a great module.
Definitely.
Board Member Battenford?
Thank you for the enhanced presentation. I think the first time I heard about this project, it was my first or second meeting, and so the second go-around was really helpful. I think it's obvious that this is a long-standing, well-investigated, well-planned project, so thank you for your work. I'm excited to see how it rolls out. I was a project manager by nature, and so throughout the presentation, I kept just wondering about what does it look like on the ground when it rolls out, and what does the customer service division look like? Because I would imagine it rolls out, and then the city gets a lot of calls and a lot of people who want a lot of help to engage, and so I'm not looking for any specific answer today, just that I'm interested, and that I think it's important to really be thoughtful about what do we have in place to communicate with people that want to engage with this and might struggle with some accessibility issues, whether it's age or language or any of the above.
So we have, most of our materials have actually the water billing customer service number on it, because that's a everyday, all day customer service area for us. And so I have worked with, because those are my staff members, I have worked with my staff members to make sure that they are very educated about this project. We talk about it on a regular basis at all of our staff meetings, so they know, and they also know that I'm available. So there's 2 staff members that work very closely with me on the project, and any one of the 3 of us will take a call from any single customer that calls in. So if they get to a point where they feel like they're outside of their educated level for the project itself, they send them directly to us. We'll also be working with, like I said, other departments to make sure that they're all aware too, so that any person who gets a call or any person, who has questions about it, they know where to send the people to get those answers for them. And then, like with everything else, like with our billing, you asked about language, we have several Spanish speakers, but there's other languages that could come in as well, and we have tools already that we use where you can both call into a specific site, and there's a translator that helps you with that. So we'll be working on that. We'll be working on some online pieces where we can't necessarily make everything in Spanish as well, but what we can do is we can put a picture up there like the scorecard, draw circles and bubbles, and then in Spanish explain what the customers are looking at. So there'll be ways that they can actually go in and take a look at those and have an idea of, oh, okay, I get a scorecard, it's got lots of pretty pictures and stuff, but what am I exactly looking at? And they can understand the graphs and the numbers, which is part of the reason why we're going very graphically with a lot of things as well. So we'll continue to work at, getting the message out there more and more to our customers, and then making sure that we're available to answer any of those questions or concerns that they might have.
Any other questions or comments? Well, as was alluded to in the both the recommendation and the report and Board Member Dowd's comments, this matter did come before the Contract Review Subcommittee. We looked at this in great detail with staff, and definitely have to commend staff, and in particular Ms. Zanino, for her hard work and her tough negotiating stances to get a really great deal for the city on these new enhancements to these software programs. So I think it's going to be a really beneficial addition to the AMI program, and it got the complete recommendation of the Contract Review Subcommittee. And so with that, I will entertain a motion. Board Member Dowd?
I move to approve the amendments that have been presented to the board today.
I'll second.
Motion by Board Member Dowd, seconded by Board Member Arnone to approve the contract amendments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations for getting there.
Thank you. Right around the corner. You have no idea how exciting that is. Well, maybe you do. Project management, you've done a lot of it. It's very exciting to be almost there.
Well,
I'd also like to say thank you for all your support. You guys have been very supportive of the work that we're doing, and we really appreciate it.
our ratepayers are going to really appreciate the enhancements to the billing system and just all the information that's going to be available to them, let alone all the other savings of costs and leaks and greenhouse gas and everything else. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 6 is public comments on non-agenda matters. Seeing no one rise, we have no referrals. We have one written communication regarding the minor contract award for the Farmers Lane well pumps, if anybody has any issues with that. All right, subcommittee reports. You've already heard about the contract review subcommittee. Any other committee reports? Okay, any board member reports? Board Member Arnone?
I just wanted to thank everyone who organized the trip up to the geysers. It was a very informative day, and saw a huge amount of infrastructure that most people don't know exists, and learned a lot from a lot of different sources. So thank everyone responsible for that, and it was an interesting day. Appreciated it.
The fact that the full board was there, and we also had some city council members, I think shows the level of interest in the whole project, not just the Geysers Recharge project, but also what's all going on up on the hill there at the geyser. So it was great. All right, director's report. Deputy Director Burke.
Thank you. So just 2 things I thought the board would want to know, just as I'm filling in this week for Director Hornstein. So first, you may have seen in the paper that Grant Davis, who is the general manager for the Sonoma County Water Agency, has been asked by the governor and has accepted to be the director of the Department of Water Resources. So as some on the board know, Grant's been with the water agency for quite a number of years now, and really has worked with the water contractors to help build relationships and really work together with the water contractors and put a lot of projects forward. So He is going to be starting with the state on August 1st. It's a very fast turnaround time. And our understanding is that he will be working with the Board of Supervisors and the Board of Directors with the Water Agency regarding an interim replacement and a recruitment. But the Water Agency does have a lot of really great internal staff and some great assistant general managers as well as chief engineers. And so I think things will continue to run smoothly, but just wanted to acknowledge that really have appreciated working with Grant over the years, and wish him the best of luck as he goes to the state, and hopefully that will allow our county to be a little more represented at the state level as well, so could be some benefit. And then one other quick thing, I just thought there was a pretty cool item. This week, our staff from our water operations side as well as fire department collaborated on trench rescue refresher drills at the fire training facilities. And it was 3 days of drills, and it gave both groups the opportunity to share their expertise and how they would work together with mutual aid for any trench rescues in the jurisdiction. So a number of our crews, general construction, leak repair, cleaning, and our weekend crews, as well as all 3 shifts from the fire department, participated in these drills. So the board would want to know.
Any questions for the Deputy Director? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting. We'll see you next month.